Hi guys, right back here, back for another airsoft overview. Today we're going to be going over my custom WE G17. We're going to go through the externals, internals, we're going to go through use, a little bit of theory, the round count and kind of the amount of effective rounds that you would have in a game on top of kit and equipment, and then we're going to reaffirm all the points that I talked about. So we're going to go through point number one, which is the externals. So you saw from the clip there the overview of my Glock. It's not 100%. It's not really a race pistol. It's not a an operator's pistol per se. It is very simple. Right. So big thing is I have replaced the front and rear sight with glow in the dark sights. I've used glow on tritium paint, and I've just sealed that in with some varnish. It helps with low light, no light, and also because I have it, the front sight, instead of having a dot, is now a square, and the rear sight is a square. So once you have a big rectangle, I find that easier to pick up than putting the water drop in the bucket. On top of that, externally, the advantage of the Glock Gen5, it has a slide stop there and a slide stop here. It has an ambidextrous slide stop, so that's very handy, especially if you're shooting left-handed. You can, but I don't really use the slide stop. I power stroke, just muscle memory for me. Other differences between the Gen 3 and the Gen 4. It has the large magazine release like the Gen 4, the big rectangular one. It doesn't have the finger grooves like on the Gen 3 and the Gen 4. And then as well, it has a semi-flared magwell. Magazine, like flared magwells, won't fit on this unless you shape this down, but I kind of find it fine for doing reloads. The only major external bit that I've done to this as well is I have done a semi CAD paint job. It's starting to wear off now, but similar to my MWS and my pouches, I've done the CAD paint job with the paints. I'll put them down in the description below, and I will put a link to the stencils as well if that's something that you'd like. So this is part number one, which is the externals. So part number two, the internals. The internals in my Glock at the moment. Currently I haven't replaced the piston or any of the, I would say, the working parts, the actual mechanical rear parts in the frame or in the slide. The major things that I've changed in my Glock are, I have changed the hop-up chamber, the hop-up rubber, the barrel, and the eye key. So currently, at the moment, I'll show you now, I have a nearly full maple leaf setup. So I have a maple leaf. It's a 81mm 6.01 Type R barrel, maple leaf hop-up unit with a Prometheus purple booking. I have a maple leaf eye key and I believe it is Lilacs or 9-ball. It's the fluorescent yellow hop-up wheel. It's a very good hop-up setup. I can lift threes with this. I don't really use heavy ammunition in my pistol because, in my opinion, you use it from 15 meters and in. I would use this in close quarters at my last ditch effort. So there's not really a lot of internals, but with pistols, if you want a good service pistol, I wouldn't put a lot of mad parts in it for high cappas and stuff yet. Or if you want to build like a race Glock or something like that, I've seen a lot of guys do that, but in my opinion, for the way that I use my Glock, I don't really see a point. So this is the internals. So use and a little bit of theory. So my pistol is used as a secondary to my main rifle, which would be my TMMWS or my PTW. The reason I have the pistol there is my rifle, my MWS, my main rifle, is a carbine, so it has a 14.5-inch barrel. So it does get very long, especially when you're going into room-to-room and CQB environments. So it is easier to drop the rifle and pull out the pistol, because you can have the pistol, because you're not mitigating as much recoil as you would a real 9mm pistol, that you can have it fairly close, look down the sights, and generally have a good point of aim, point of impact. Now, some people use these as primaries, mainly in a CQB setting, which is great. A lot of people, they'll short stroke it and do a lot of kind of very people who build pistol primaries, there's a lot more intricacy and a lot more care put into it than you would. I would say I would view this as a service pistol over a race or a primary. In my mind, using a pistol is either you're clearing rooms, you're out of ammunition, or your rifle's across the room and you have to be able to return fire quickly and get to your rifle. So that's kind of my opinion on use. A pistol is a multi-tool. It's a jack of all trades. You can use it as primary, secondary. If you want, you can dual wield them. But that's my view on it. A little bit of theory, a little bit of going through stuff. So, big thing with gas pistols is obviously they're gas powered. These magazines have 25 round count, 25 PV round count. So, loading your mags to the max, making sure that they are stacked properly, because you will get misfeeds if they're not stacked correctly. So you can use the GBB attachment for your magazines. You put it on the top, you put it down, or you pull down the follower and you feed them from the top up. So that's a big thing. Learning to count rounds as well is a big one. Like, this magazine nearly holds as many rounds as one of these. This holds 35 rounds. The G series mags holds 25. It's 10 rounds in the difference. So there is gassing up your magazines as well, and maintaining them is a big one. So making sure that your gas mags are full, so that way you're not going onto the field with an empty magazine and you're going through, you're like, fuck, why isn't my pistol firing? You take it out, you punch the valve, and you're like, oh, the magazine's empty. Right, on to the next one. So that's, a big fuck up that a lot of people seem to do. I've done it myself quite a bit. I'm like, it's fine. Big with outdoor players. Pistol isn't as important in outdoors, in my opinion. So learning how to draw your pistol is a big one as well. In my how-to transition video, we went through drawing your pistol and stuff. It is very important to learn how to work your holster and learn how to draw your pistol correctly, and being able to draw it, punch it out, and be able to get a proper sight picture. This is something you can practice at home. So even if, right, in front of me there's a window, right, I have the sight on target. You can just keep doing this. You can do it for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then you can work on your reloads. You're like, right, next magazine. I wouldn't recommend dropping these because you will break the bottom of it. So what I would do for a pistol reload in my Glock is, right, let's simulate that the pistol is empty. It's up, magazine, I have my first magazine like this, I grab the second magazine, put it in the other one, either re-index it into the pouch or into the dump pouch. You can do it a number of different ways, and then you can power stroke, but because all my magazines are empty, the slide will not return forward unless there are rounds in it, or to remove the magazine. That's a big one, learning how to transition your pistol. If you're playing outdoors and it drops on the grass, it won't break, but you'll lose it. So swings around a bit. If you're behind cover and you're in a good embedded position, by all means, drop those fucking magazines, get the next one in. So learning your muscle memory is very important. So even just learning how the magazine drops, the weight of the magazine. So you could have it where the pistol's empty and you're behind cover, you can drop it and then you can get on to the next, you could get rounds on target then. So that is a big one, is learning how to do those things behind cover. You can swap your hands with your pistol as well. You can go from left-handed to right-handed shooting, but that is something that I will touch on later on in another video. So that's kind of your use and theory. Part 4, round count. So the standard G17 mag or G18 mag is 25 rounds, 25 plus 1 in the chamber. So you can I currently carry 75 rounds. I carry 3 magazines on my belt, 1 in the pistol, 2 on my belt. That will get me through a very long game. That'll get me through most of the day, as I don't really draw my pistol that much. So it is they're lighter than GPBR mags. These things weigh a fucking ton. So it is like you can carry as many rounds as you want. I find with the G series 50 rounders, they will cool down too much. Some people, I've seen them with the tap airsoft drum mags, the HPA lines, or the M4 mag adapter. They're very handy as well if you're using it as a primary and you've kind of tuned your pistol for indoor or for primary play. For a skirmish day, I will carry the 3 magazines. For a milsim, I will carry 2. I will carry one in the pistol and one in the pistol mag pouch. I'll generally have my second pouch empty for either a speed loader or for re-indexing in firefight. It's also just handier, so I won't really be using my pistol all that much. I'd rather have as many rifle magazines as possible than pistol magazines. But your pistol round count is important. Like sometimes I will short load my mags on colder days. I will have them to about 15 rounds because I know I'll get through the 15. So it's all about swings and roundabouts. Is however many rounds you are comfortable in carrying and what are the applications. For a milsim, you're not going to use your pistol all that much. Skirmish day and an indoor site, you're going to use your pistol a lot. So for me, milsim 2, skirmish day 3. So that's round count. And now for the second or third video in a row, my junk has been on camera. So my pistol belt, you've seen it in a few videos, is set up very simply. I have my pistol on my right hand side because I'm right hand dominant. I have my pistol mags at the front on my left hand side because I'm left hand dominant. I prefer Kydex mag pouches, so these are IPSC style Kydex pouches. I prefer these to fabric ones because I find the fabric ones, they're great at retention because you can pull the cord over. They're loud and they're not as quick. With this, I have these clamped down quite hard, so as you can see, it's very difficult to pull it out and very difficult to put it in, but I won't lose my magazine as easily. On my right hand side, I just have a Helicontex Blackhawk Serpent style holster on the paddle that goes through my belt. I will be getting a Dirty Customs Kydex holster soon enough, but until then, I'm happy with my Helicon one. My belt is mounted. I have the inner Velcro side through my trousers, and then I have the outer on the Cobra buckle on the outside. So that way, if I have to, I can ditch the belt when I need to, or I can just take off my plate carry and I can run this because I have my primary magazine and 2 secondary magazines. Very simple pistol belt setup, but it is made for one thing and one thing only, and I will repeatedly say this, is murder. And finally, the conclusion. So what have we touched on? The externals of my pistol, the internals of my pistol, my use and theory of using a pistol, and round counts and kit. Alright, it's very simple. Like, I don't really use my pistol all that much, but it's there in case I need it. It doesn't take up that much weight once you've balanced everything out. Like my pistol, all my magazines are weighted fairly evenly on the side with my multi-tool beside them. So it is, I would recommend for any person, even if you're going on pistol primary or pistol secondary, buy a holster, buy a good quality holster. Some of the fabric ones are very good, like the Condor Cyclone, the Warrior Assault Systems Universal holster. They're both very good fabric holsters, but kind of the cheaper end of the stuff, you are going to lose them. Invader Gear do a very good fabric holster as well, and fabric holsters are handy if you have a number of pistols. If not, if you have a pistol setup that you like, mine are the G series. The G series is my favourite pistol. Invest in a good holster, Ammo Max, Dirty Customs, Helicon, any Kydex holster is good for retention. Any plastic holster is good for retention because it is tight and you won't lose it. With the Serpa style, they're quite loose, but they have the button release, so you have to push on the button before you pull it out. With Kydex, it's a grip and rip. So that's my views, my opinions on using a pistol and airsoft. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I'm Ryback.